Days after former police officer Wayne Couzens was given a whole life sentence for the rape and murder of Sarah Everard in March, it was revealed last night that a serving police officer has been accused of raping a woman he met on a dating app. PC David Carrick emphatically denies assaulting the woman while off duty after the pair went for a drink in St Albans in September last year. The cases are unrelated, but along with reports that 1,000 officers and staff have been investigated for misogynistic, sexist, racist and homophobic communications, the police are facing arguably their biggest crisis in a generation. Earlier today, Boris Johnson admitted the service has a huge job ahead of them in restoring women's trust.
There is a massive job of work to do to give women the confidence that they need. And I want to be clear, I believe that people should be confident in the police. I think that police officers, men and women, up and down the country will be absolutely sickened by what has happened. And they will be doing everything they can, and I know they do everything they can, to help and to reassure the public.
So tonight in The Clash, we're asking, should Brits still have faith in the police? Maggie Oliver, the former DC with the Manchester Police and whistleblower of the Rochdale child sex abuse ring, says the problem goes much further than Wayne Couzens and thinks there are systemic failures within the police. But former police officer and founder of the Protectors, Norman Bradman, says we shouldn't target all police with these same feelings. And look, this is such a difficult one, Norman, but I am a huge supporter of the police. I feel like as a society, we need to back them. And while this is obviously such a shocking incident, we can't tar all of the force with it, can we?
No, we can't. Look, we can't build this up, knock it down, and make it any better than what it is. Wayne Couzens was a serving Metropolitan Police officer. He had a warrant card. He swore an oath, and that oath is to keep the peace, protect the public and be there at their time of need. He failed Sarah Everard, her family, the public, and he failed us. We're a team, the police, and the only positive thing I can say out of this is that Wayne Couzens was deselected. He was sacked. He will never play for another team again. We can't bring Sarah Everard back, but what we can do is we can meet in the changing room and we can discuss our tactics. What is it we can do better? What is it that we did wrong? Let's get back out there, because the audience, which is the public, need to be certain that they can rely upon us. And the caveat to this is this: police officers are human beings. They say the police are the public are the police. Now, we don't castigate, Dan, every television presenter like Jimmy Savile. We don't castigate every doctor like Dr. Shipman that murdered 250 of his patients. We don't castigate every nurse like Beverly Allen that murdered 4 and attempted to murder 13 more. And we talk today, yes, it's a dreadful day for police. Another police officer has been charged with rape. We don't know the facts, we can't discuss it. On the same day, a nurse has been charged with the murder of 5 baby boys, 3 baby girls. We're living in a world where we don't have perfect people, but what we have to do is calm down and talk about what's gone wrong. And all of these inquiries that take months on end do not reassure the public. What the public want are men and women that are going to be there for them. They're police officers. And I think that we should be going higher up the scale, because the point I'm making here is that if a company had such dreadful responses from its customers and its workforce, you would sack all of the directors and get in a new set of directors to ensure that you regained your customers' confidence and your workforce were reassured. And I think we should be looking at chief constables tonight across the country, and also police crime commissioners.
OK, Norman, I hear that, and thank you for making a strong case. But let me bring in Maggie Oliver now. And Maggie, you wrote a very powerful column in today's Daily Mail where you spoke about your own experiences training up in the police. And you say the experience of Wayne Couzens doesn't surprise you. And in fact, the police really does have to question its culture, given that this bloke was able to go around with a nickname like the rapist without people asking questions.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think that this case, Dan, in a way, is a distraction from the real issues. And I don't really disagree with you, Norman. I mean, I was a serving police officer, but when I joined, I was older than most recruits. So I joined an organisation that even 25 years ago, I felt was antiquated. I felt it was Victorian in many of its outlooks and opinions. And as I moved through my career, and I worked in serious crime, and then I worked on the Augusta grooming scandal and the Rochdale grooming scandal, I saw senior officers turning a blind eye to violence against victims and girls. But what I see with the Sarah Everard case is a case which actually has brought together public opinion, not against individual police officers. It is anger about the system which is broken. And I am talking about the top of the police. I have colleagues, ex-colleagues and friends who are absolutely desperate to get out of the police because they see an organisation that isn't working, that is being failed. But to move forward, we have to accept and acknowledge the failures that are there and address them. And when you've got, I'm not just talking about the Met, I'm talking about throughout the country. And my work now with the Maggie Oliver Foundation, we deal with victims of violence against women and girls, of rape, every single day. And even in the last 3 months, 60% of the survivors who have come to us say that they have been failed by the police. And I am not blaming individual police officers. I am saying that they are working in a system that does not work. We need a radical overhaul. There are not enough police officers. Violence against women and girls and victim care comes the absolute bottom of the pile. You know, with the Macpherson report, we had a report that said we had institutional racism in the Met. With the Daniel Morgan case, just recently, they've said that there's institutional corruption in the Met. But Cressida Dick has refused to accept either of those things. I clearly aim my criticism at the top of the organisations, not just the Met. I mean, I work closely with Greater Manchester Police, and 10 years on, I am still supporting some of the Rochdale victims in action against Greater Manchester Police and the CPS. And GMP and their legal department have absolutely closed ranks and tried to conceal and cover up the failures at the top of the organisation. They have stonewalled lawyers. They have put victims through hell. That is about attitudes and contempt for the public and the victims of these horrendous crimes.
I understand all of that. I absolutely do. And all of that is important and must be addressed. I guess, Norman, what your point is that life on the beat is already difficult enough for a police officer, especially a police officer in a major city in the UK like London. And is your concern, Norman, that they are now going to suffer pushback and more difficulty trying to do a job which is already close to impossible?
Absolutely. I'd just like to pick up Maggie's point there. I was a serving police officer for 31 years. I'm head of the Law and Order Foundation. I headed the Victims of Crime Trust. I've met over 1,000 families of homicide. I've picked up the devastation along with Maggie and many other people. Some of the failings I've seen within policing has been absolutely atrocious. I took my time recently to look about the Rochdale cases, and I looked through there and I put myself in Maggie's position. And I've got to say to you, I understand where she's coming from. Police have failed the public. They have failed them very bad. They have failed victims. However, we have moved on now. We've moved on, and much of what Maggie has said, I actually recognise some of that. We've now got a police service that are broken. You've got men and women that are joining the police service. They're whizzing up the scales, hardly any police skills. They now all have to be graduates. We've got our top bosses gesturing, politicking about waving flags in the air, painting our cars different colours, men painting their fingernails, men wearing high heel shoes. What the public want, what the victims want, is a police officer turn up when they make that phone call, sit down with them, take their crimes seriously, make a statement,
rather than
investigate
playing
that
into
crime.
these identity politics. I agree with that. But Maggie Oliver, I guess some of what the police are doing in those circumstances that Norma just outlines, though, is trying to make themselves more palatable to these communities that are potentially suspicious of the police.
Well, I think that the public trust, sadly, has been lost.
So they can't win, though, can they? That's the issue. They can't.
Well, I think we need absolutely radical changes, Dan. We need.
So what do you want to happen, Maggie?
Well, I can think of a lot of things, but I probably haven't got time. But for me, I look at victim care and the trust of the public. And I see a police force throughout the country that is completely overwhelmed with too many people, too many crimes. And for me, one of the biggest things that could immediately generate trust in and give victims a priority in the cases that they report, particularly for rapes and sexual crime, is to take that responsibility for victim care away from the police, give it to an organisation like the Foundation, where we have ambassadors who have time, who understand what trauma is, who want to support the victim, allow the police to focus on the investigation, on the prosecution.
Could I come back in? Could I come back in?
Final brief word to you, Norman. Yes, final word. You've got 30 seconds.
Let me just remind Britain very quickly, this government reduced the police service by 22,000 frontline officers, 23,000 support officers. The police service is broken. Its senior management is detached from frontline policing. The criminal justice system is in an absolute mess. And just think of this, a young 15-year-old girl, we're talking about females and rightly so and about their protection. She was raped when she was 15. 4 years later, when she is 19 years of age, it's coming up for trial. It's not just the police we need to look at, it's the criminal justice system. And if we're to pick up the pieces, everybody's got to start working together rather than fighting because we've taken our eye off the ball.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.